No, I'm about to go in. Told me that I couldn't do it, but I gotta bring it back. So they're really numb with it. Let's go. Tell me where you're from, where you stay. No, I keep it lit from the coast to the bay. Peace on the right.
If you guys are looking to buy the cheapest and most reliable Madden coins on the market, head over to buymaddencoins.com. They guarantee a 5-minute delivery on all purchases and offer 24/7 customer support. Use code MAZE at checkout for 10% off. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be going over something I kind of talked about and prefaced in yesterday's video, and that is going to be how to beat the meta on offense. So the meta right now, if you guys didn't know, is 3-4. Everyone is, even if it's not 3-4 actually, it's blitzing everybody, running man coverage, cover zero, just blitzing the absolute shit out of you, and a lot of people are having trouble beating it. That is because this year man coverage plays extremely well on certain things, and what normally would beat man coverage, what normally would beat these quick blitzes and stuff like that, is not working anymore. So people get in this box and they don't really know what to do. And so today I'm going to be going over that defense, how to beat it on offense, and so hopefully going into weekend league when you play it, it's not going to cause you any problems. So before we get into the offensive stuff, I'm going to talk about what the defense is in general. For those of you that didn't see my original video, I did post a defensive scheme video that kind of goes over this defense. It's mainly out of 3-4, and you can pretty much run it out of a lot of different plays. The one I run it out of mostly is pinch dog to press, but I'd say what I see the most is people running it out of pinch buck O. So we're going to start with pinch buck O, and then on offense, I'm just going to get into some kind of shotgun formation right here. So let's start on defense. I always forget. All right, so that's how we're starting on defense. The way people usually run it, I feel like, is they base a line, then they're going to press all their DBs, and then they're going to pinch their linebackers, and then they're going to blitz everybody. And that's kind of what the defense looks like. Then they're probably going to user this guy. And then you see you got 7 dudes blitzing, you got man coverage on everyone else, and when you run the play, this guy's gonna be your user. You're probably gonna focus on this, and I'll hike the ball, and see you got 2 guys just screaming in there free. And it's not a very difficult or complicated defense, and the point of this video is not to go over the defense. I already posted a full video going over the defense. So if you guys are here to learn how to run this defense and you want to run it yourself, go check out my other video. It will probably be on the channel, is one of the most recent videos I posted. So what we're gonna go over is on offense, how to beat that. Now there's a few different things you can do on offense to beat this. The first thing that I'm gonna talk about is man beating routes. So man coverage this year is the meta. Everyone's running man. If you're not incorporating some kind of man coverage into your defense, I think you're doing it wrong. If you're just running strictly zone, you're gonna get dotted up left and right. So switching in man here and there is important, even if you're just manning up certain guys. So I'm going to go over a few things that will absolutely torch man coverage every single time, and you should have them in your play somewhere on offense if you're trying to pass the ball against man coverage. So taking back the playbook, I'm actually going to be going over a different formation to kind of talk about this and show you guys different plays. Gun bunch offset or just gun bunch weak in today's Madden is really good, and the reason is because there's a few different reasons. This is, if you're trying to beat this meta defense, gun bunch is probably the easiest way to do it in my opinion. So I'm going to start off just calling verts halfback under. So 4 verticals, verts halfback under. It's all going to look the same out of bunch. It's those like 3 vertical routes on the right that are kind of interconnecting, and then the one on the left. So I'll call that, and then on defense, go back to the 3-4. If I can get there, pinch buck O. And so on offense, that's what your play looks like. Now, the reason gun bunch is so popular as always and in years past is because simply if you max protect, which is L1, and then right stick up, I just blocked my tight end and my running back. Now, most bunch formations and stuff, you're not gonna be able to block that innermost receiver. You see Higbee, the X receiver, is the tight end. He's winged off the line, and normally you cannot block them in these types of formations. But in gun bunch specifically, with max protect, you can easily block your tight end. You can also just individually block him. If I go back to the beginning, you can just individually adjust your tight end by pressing triangle, then X, and then R2 is the pass block. And you can see now that puts him on pass block as well. So to start, when you're playing against somebody who's blitzing a lot, that is a benefit. And that is gonna be the first tip I tell you guys. Block the blitz. If they're blitzing 7, don't try to run empty backfield. And I mean, that does work sometimes if you run empty backfield and you spread out the defense and throw just quick passes. But you see, if you're trying to, let's say, I know he's blitzing 7, so I'll blitz 7 on defense. Blitzing 7 on defense, I'm like, okay, well, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna throw a quick pass. See, like, it's just not, you're just blindly throwing, you're likely to throw a user interception. You don't really know if the guy's going to be open. You're like, all right, well, I'm just going to throw it to my running back. If he blitzes 7 again. So we're blitzing 7 again. And you're like, okay, I'm just going to throw a quick pass to my running back. And then if that was user right there, I'd probably tackle you for a couple yard gain. You're not getting too much, and that's not sustainable. You got to figure out a better way to beat this blitz. And so if they're blitzing you like that, the first thing I'm going to tell you is don't be afraid to block. A lot of people are, it's like, I don't know if they're too prideful to block or why they don't want to block, but do not be afraid to block, because now when I blitz 7, so I'm blitzing 7 again, and then on offense this time you see I'm blocked. We pick up that block, look how much time we have, and then obviously you're going to end up getting a block shed eventually, but we did have a lot of time, and it's going to allow you to actually make a good read and actually pick apart the defense instead of just quick hiking and praying. And like I said, that's not a sustainable offense. That's not a way to actually beat this defense. Though it does sometimes work and you can use it every now and then, that's not something you want to rely on every play. So going back to what I was saying, gun bunch is a great way to beat blitzes and stuff because you can block. And so if you're blocking, that's just the first step I'm going to tell you. Second step is these man beating routes. So the 2 man beating routes that I want to show you guys that are going to shred man coverages here. Normally, when you're talking about beating man in real life and in years past in Madden, things like slant routes, if you're going to look at my square receiver cook, slant routes, out routes. So if you run an out route, if you run an in route, if you run a drag, usually those are beating man coverage. If you run a crossing route, like what Cup's on right now, the R1 receiver, you see Cup is on kind of a crossing route. Usually those would beat man coverage. But for some reason in Madden 20, I don't know what it is about the man coverage. It plays way different, and those routes are just boxed. The DBs cover them extremely well. And so the 2 routes that I want to show you guys that will still absolutely destroy man coverage are wheel routes and zig routes. So to start, we're going to talk about the wheel route. So we're going to look at Robert Woods, the circle receiver on the outside. That is a wheel route. So if I motion him to the outside right here, just watch how he burns his guy. Just like that, that's a touchdown. So if you're running against somebody who's running a cover 0 blitz, any kind of cover 0 blitz, for those of you guys that don't know what a cover 0 is, that means there's no safety help over the top. That means there's no deep responsibility. So everyone's just in man coverage. There's nothing over the top. That is a cover 0. If you're in a cover 0 and you have the ability to run a wheel route, you're going to absolutely torch it. So again, if I max protect, even if you don't motion him out, just absolutely torches the man coverage every single time. And when people are relying on cover 0, down in and down out, you're going to beat them every now and then on an 80-yard touchdown because of the wheel route. The next thing I want to show you guys, again, if I max protect, is a zig route. So a zig route is an audible you make on a receiver. So if you to audible your receivers, you press triangle, then you choose your receiver. I'm going to choose R1, which is Cooper Kupp. And then you see the right stick to the right is a zig route. You put them on a zig route. That's what it looks like. Zig routes this year are ridiculously good. I'm going to show you guys right now. He just got, I know obviously here, I'm going to press actually next time to make it a little bit more realistic because if he's playing off. All right, so here we're pressed. We got our man coverage down like right in his face. Normally this is going to box a lot of things. And so what we're going to do is block everybody, put Cooper Kupp on a zig route, him on a wheel route. And obviously you can put in other route concepts and stuff. But you see, again, he torched it once again, and that is going to beat it every single time. So if you're running against man coverage, even if it's not a cover 0 blitz, even if it's some other kind of man coverage, if you're putting in a zig route, and the nice thing about a zig route is you can put it anywhere on the field. So you can put on the outside, you can put Woods on a zig route, you can block and put Woods on a zig route. We'll see how this plays. See, once again, it's toasted. And then if you get, missed tackle, something like that, again, it's a cover 0. And I'm getting just about in for a touchdown on a zig route. And so the 2 routes, again, that I'm telling you guys about, wheel routes and zig routes. So if you got a wheel route on the outside, you got a zig route. Boom, easy money. So the first tip I'm giving you guys is do not be afraid to block extra guys. If they're blitzing 7, don't be afraid to block 7. That's gonna give you a lot more time and make things a lot easier on you. The second tip is wheel routes and zig routes. Those are the 2 routes that are gonna absolutely shred man coverage. The third tip I'm gonna give you is a little bit more obscure and subjective, but it's just know how your opponent is running this. So if I'm in a Tampa 2, now this is the way in my video I said I run this blitz. So I'm gonna base a line, pinch my linebackers, blitz them, press, man up that outside guy, and user him. This is how I said I run the blitz, okay? Sorry, this is how I said I run the blitz right here. You got that left side of the screen manned up. You're blitzing 7. You got a cover 2 shell on the right and user the middle. That's my favorite way to run it. And usually if your opponent is trying to figure this out, it's going to take them a little bit. But once they do, this defense is not invincible. If I'm running this every play, there are going to be a lot of holes. For instance, look at this whole left side of the field. There's no one zoned up over there. So if you have a crossing receiver going over there, it's going to be wide open. So again, going back to the first tip, don't be afraid to block 7. Boom, block 7. Next tip is use a wheel route. I got a wheel route out there. And then the third tip is know how your opponent is running it. If I figure out how he's running it and I have this cup on this crossing route, so let's say the user is going to follow Cooks. I can't user him, so I'm going to man him up and just pretend that he's going to follow him on this drag route. Now watch how this would play out for me. I mean, obviously it is wide open. Now I know I made that look really easy because it's practice mode and I can't really play offense and defense at the same time. But if your opponent is running some variation of this blitz, you just got to figure out the adjustments they're making and then switch it up on them and find the holes. Because again, in the way I said I run it, so I'll try to set it up all again. Again, this is the way I run it usually. And I don't run it like this every time because I'm not trying to get burned. But you see that whole left side of the field is wide open. Another thing you could do, and this goes into my my next tip, is going to be like motion someone over. And then again, just like that, you opened up a lot of holes here again. So if that was how you're running it, let's say you want to run it like that. And that's something pretty simple. Let's say we put cup on a zig route. You don't know who's manned up where. And now obviously the user would follow probably deep here. So I hope you guys are following what I'm saying here. So I'm gonna user him, I'm gonna man him up and pretend like the user was following him because I can't user and play offense at the same time. And then on defense, that's what my play looks like. I'll put cup on a drag route. And so watch how this is gonna play out. See, every single time there's going to be a huge hole if they're mixing up their coverage like that. So that goes into my next tip is going to be switch it up. Usually when people get in a system like this and they're blitzing, they know how to run it one way. So if they're running it pinch buck O, they're only running pinch buck O every time. If they're running the pinch buck O cover 2 shell, they're going to be running that shell every time with the same adjustments. So something you can do also is let them get all set up. They have all their blitz set up and everything, and then boom, you flip the play on them. And then they're gonna have to make all these adjustments to change it up and whatever. Then suddenly you take Cooks and you motion him over. And then they're gonna have to make all these different adjustments again. And you're gonna cause them to be in a situation where they can no longer run that base standard coverage they were running every single time because you're mixing it up every time and they're gonna have to make adjustments on the fly. And again, most players aren't gonna be good enough to do that. So the tips I've gone over is 1, don't be afraid to block extra people. 2, run wheel routes, run zig routes. 3, figure out what type of adjustments they're running and find the holes because there will be holes. And then 4, switch it up, motion guys, flip your play in the middle of your setup, make them be on the fly just as much as you are. And then the final play I'm going to give you, or the final tip I'm going to give you, is run the ball. So I'm going to choose new play here and I'm going to show you some certain things. If you run like any type of run scheme, because this year running is really good. So let's say you're running like wing tight. Is there a toss in here? So I know stretches are normally really good, but if there's a toss, I don't know if I can find a toss. Ace, if I can find some kind of toss. All right, regardless, I don't need to find it, but you guys get the picture. Running plays to the outside like tosses, they're pinching and blitzing everyone straight at the field. If you run like a toss or something, a quick toss, it's gonna cause them to over pursue, and then they're gonna be caught in the backfield and you're gonna be running upfield with no one in front of you. So running the ball and mixing that in there too. Don't be afraid to run on a blitz. Sometimes you're gonna get blown up in the backfield, but sometimes you're gonna get a big gain. So that's my final tip too. Don't be afraid to run the ball. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. I hope this was helpful and not too confusing. But again, this is going over how to beat that meta defense is kind of out there right now. If you guys want to learn how to run the meta defense in the first place, again, I already posted a full guide to it. So if you guys want to run that on your defense, go check it out. But like anything, it's not a one-size-fits-all. Madden is always going to be a chess match based on who you play and their schemes. So you guys are going to have to figure that, and a lot of it is on your own. But I hope this did help you out. Leave a like if it did. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will be seeing you guys in the next video.